On abortion. Ice, do you support Trump?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, two Trump supporters. Ice, are you patient? Not the.
Sure. Sure.
Perfect. Just hold off. Let me talk to
I'll mute.
this associate, a secret user. So, secret users associate. Do you have a name that you'd like me to refer to you by?
My name is Lacey.
Lacey. Okay, and you're like pro-life, so you think that abortion should be banned?
Well, I don't think it should be banned in its entirety. I personally will not have an abortion. I have given birth to 5 children myself. But I think there need to be some regulations. I think there should be some parameters.
Yeah, sure. What do you think those regulations should be?
Well, I think 12 weeks should probably be the max
Okay.
that we do abortions. Yep.
Okay, so why is it not wrong for a woman to get an elective abortion before 12 weeks, but it is wrong for a woman to get an elective abortion after 12 weeks?
Well, so my personal views, just period. There's a difference between what's wrong for me and what's wrong for others. So for me, it's wrong across the board, and that's partially because I've done IVF and I've seen the embryo upon, being, implanted within me, and a ultrasound a week later, and seen it at such a young stage, already seeing the flutter of the heart and such. So that's just not something I'm going to do. However, I'm not going to judge another woman who has to get in or decides to get an abortion. However, I think it's wrong past 12 weeks, because at that point, also being a woman who's done this multiple times, that, at least by 6 weeks, 7 weeks, for to
Oh, you sorry.
go in
Just
and seek help at that point. We
repeat the
shouldn't be
last
waiting
10
until
to
after the
15.
12-week mark.
Repeat the last 12 to 15 seconds you cut out. Oh, it sounds like she cut out again. Oh, okay. Repeat everything that you just said. You had a big
can you hear
lag
me?
spike. Yes.
All right. So I guess, first of all, tell me what your definition is of wrong, because I'm not going to say that a woman is necessarily wrong for doing it. My own personal beliefs is I will not have an abortion.
Yeah.
All right.
So
but
let me help clear this up a little bit. So when I say something is wrong, I'm just saying that's something that people shouldn't do. Okay. Right. In a moral sense, in a normative sense. But that aside, I mean, it sounds like your argument is like you think that abortion is wrong at all points, but you kind of want to compromise with a pro-choice view by saying that you think that women should be able to legally access it up until 12 weeks because you think that's enough time. Now, I just full-heartedly reject this line of reasoning. I think that we shouldn't infringe on somebody's bodily autonomy unless we have good reason to do so. And I don't think saying, well, they could have got the abortion already is good enough reason to prevent them from getting it in the future.
So in what instance do you think that they need to have an abortion past 12 weeks?
In what instance? A pregnant woman that doesn't want to be pregnant past 12 weeks. That's an instance.
So you think that after 12 weeks, I mean, at 12 weeks, you've pretty much know you're pregnant, and you've wrestled with the idea for a while. You think that it's okay to just be pregnant for a while and then decide, you know what, actually, this is not for me. You don't think it's reasonable that they can make that decision beforehand?
So, I mean, I think it's reasonable to come to the conclusion that they can make that decision beforehand. And likewise, I also think that it's reasonable to come to the conclusion that they can also make that decision after 12 weeks. But I mean, we don't usually legally discriminate against individuals for taking longer to make a decision than what you would consider to be arbitrarily reasonable. I think that that's like a weird legal standard to uphold, right? Like maybe it's like reasonable for somebody to get their driver's license when they turn 16. And maybe they'd be waiting a long time if they were to get their driver's license for the first time when they were 25. This doesn't mean that we should make it illegal to get your driver's license for the first time when they're 25. So I just don't understand why the same logic would track as it would relate to access to abortion. You can say that if a pregnant woman doesn't want to maintain her pregnancy, she's already had enough time to terminate said pregnancy before 12 weeks. But maybe that was a pregnancy that she didn't even know about until after 12 weeks. Maybe she wanted to have the child before 12 weeks. She was in a healthy, loving relationship, but then her husband divorced her, and that child no longer had a solid home to grow up in with two parents, and she thought that she might just wait until she meets her soulmate, so on and so forth. I mean, we could speculate about a billion reasons here, but ultimately, from my view, I don't even think that you need a reason to access an elective abortion as a woman. Is just having that right to enact upon your bodily autonomy, and the lack of any reason not to do so is good reason enough.
Well, yeah, we're not going to speculate on all the things because I think the divorce conversation could go in many directions. But as far as the not knowing till after 12 weeks, she knows when she had intercourse, right? So then after intercourse, if you're going to make the decision to have sex, then go take a pregnancy test.
Well, I mean, I think it's unreasonable and unrealistic to assume that everybody is going to take a pregnancy test every time after they have sex. Not to mention the fact that the pregnancy tests usually only work around 6 to 7 weeks after conception takes place, due to a rise of progesterone in a woman's in a woman's piss. So, I mean, I think it's
Correct.
unreasonable to assume that like every woman ever that engages in sex with a man is going to document particularly when they have sex, start a stopwatch, keep it in the calendar, and then take a piss test like 6 to 7 weeks after, when their HCG levels are finally high enough in order to be detected by one.
Well, that depends on how badly you don't want a child. Because if you're that paranoid about having a child, then I think you have like a whole stack of them. You can get them for really cheap to get like 30. I have them under my countertop. I have a daughter who's 21. I keep them on hand.
So from my experiences, usually women take pregnancy tests when they're showing signs of pregnancy, like morning sickness, tender breasts, so on and so forth. Not
Around
just
6
as a
weeks.
not just as a scheduled routine, 6 or 7 weeks after they engage in sex.
Unless they think there was an accident that maybe she took her birth control pill late one week, which can throw it off.
Sure. Yeah. Missed
I
birth
still do
control,
that.
failed pull out, broke condom.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I just don't think it's typical or realistic that every American woman should be realistically expected to take a pregnancy test like 7 weeks after they engage in sex every time. And also, I don't understand why we would like say that's reasonable either. Right. I think what's reasonable is just to make the recognition that there's no identifiable trait of the life of a fetus that would make that fetus morally valuable. And I don't think that there's anything wrong when a woman gets an elective abortion, regardless if it's before 12 weeks or after.
Well, obviously, you and I disagree on that. I mean, we could also have the conversation of having some morning after pills on hand, stuff like that, which I recognize is not every conservative's point of view. Some will say that that's an abortion in of itself. I don't think if you take a morning after pill within 72 hours, that's a big deal.
And
And they're
I don't think that
widely
agreeing
available.
with morning after pills means that you think that abortion should be banned. I think that you could agree with Plan Bs and you could agree with access to abortion.
Correct. So let me ask you this: at what point do you think would be a reasonable cutoff? Because there's got to be some cutoff. Up to the 40th
so-
week is ridiculous.
So, like, morally speaking, I think that elective lethal abortions become morally wrong in around 20 through 24 weeks. Legally speaking, I think it's not as clear. I think that elective abortion bans in the third trimester only make medical health professionals more scared when performing life-saving abortions for women that need it to live. And we've seen many women die because the doctors were not willing to perform a life-saving abortion on them because of that legislation. I also think that when late-term elective abortions are legal, we just don't see women get them. So because of that reason, I think it makes that conversation a little bit more complicated about what the legislation should be. But what I can tell you, like morally speaking, I think that an elective lethal abortion becomes wrong and around viability.
Okay. All right. Well, I wasn't actually even expecting to have this conversation. My son came in and kind of introduced me to this conversation. So the rest of it, I would like to get some more evidence on to see what cases those were that the women died and so on and so forth. I've been in the medical field for 30 years and I don't know any doctor who would just refuse to give at that point in time. It's a medical procedure for an emergency situation. It's not an elective abortion or anything like that. So, but I need to go look up some case studies, go see what you're referring to in the legislation or these cases you're speaking of. Yeah, I don't know about all that, but other than that, I guess we just disagree. I think that the fetus is a life regardless of viability.
Yeah, but I don't think the fact that it is a life makes it morally valuable.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change mine.
Well, can you inform me a little bit about the way your mind works? Like, why do you think the fetus is morally valuable?
Because to me, it's a life. I mean, I got pregnant with my daughter when I was 16.
Okay, so
and
do you
I
just think that all human life is morally valuable?
Yeah, I would hope. Yeah,
Didn't you say that you had a baby on IVF?
I did. I
Yeah.
was a surrogate.
Yeah. How many human lives have to die in the through the IVF procedure? It's around 30 failed implantation of embryos for every one that's successful. So you like basically had to kill like 30 valuable human lives.
So actually, in my case, I didn't. So in my case, my embryos took right away. And then the others were actually donated to other couples who couldn't have children.
Okay, so
Now, I'm sure there's some room for here and there just throughout the process, correct? And that was many, many, many years ago, and my thoughts have sort of evolved on it.
would you argue that like IVF should be banned because it is the case that like many embryos involved with the IVF practice will unfortunately pass away, and you think that those unicellular human life forms are just as valuable as a fetus, and you think that abortion should be banned?
Well, no, but remember, I said I think abortion should be banned after 12 weeks, right?
Okay,
So,
but it is a
you
human
know,
life before 12 weeks,
it
right?
is it is a human life,
Okay, so
but
then
we've agreed,
so is a human life any
I'm
more?
open to being, compromising on things, and I have to think about the bigger picture. I have multiple friends who have not been able to conceive, and they've had to go through surrogacy, and so it's a tough conversation.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be
Obviously.
honest. So so the reason I don't really like to like engage with this argument, and I find it a little bit annoying, is because like, a right, it's not really a position driven by any logic. It's like an emotionally driven position. Like you just say, well, like these lives have moral value, and well, I'm gonna compromise. And then that line where you compromise is also like very arbitrary. Like it's just not like it's just not like a reasonable position. Like I mean I'm happy that you think that maybe some women should be able to get abortions. I wish that you held on to a better position where even more women would be able to get abortions, but it's just not one with much reason. Like you can't really explain why you think that a fetus has moral value. You can't really explain why you give all human life forms moral value. You can't really explain why you think in one scenario, when you kill a human life of a fetus, it's murder after 12 weeks, but apparently it's not murder. It should be legal before 12 weeks. And you can't explain why, even though a zygote is a human life, you don't think it's wrong to kill them through the IVF practice. And because of that, it's just like, I don't know, it's just hard to debate because it doesn't really seem driven by good reason. It just seems driven by like how you feel.
Well, for one, you didn't let me finish my statement when you asked me what I defined as human life, why I felt like it was human life and what was valuable about it.
I mean, I just,
But
okay, I just don't think that all human life is valuable.
I think you're looking for an argument, and I'm willing to say we can agree to disagree on stuff, and maybe that's not the direction you want to go. What I'm more frustrated with is the irresponsibility, because there is a vast majority of women out there. I shouldn't say vast majority, but there is a good amount of women out there who are using abortion as a form of birth control, and they're doing it. They're having sex irresponsibly, and they're taking too long to have an abortion, and that's what it is. Now, getting into the all the minor details of IVF and all these different things. It's, a couple who can't conceive and they're doing their best to have a child and they have the good intentions of raising a child in a loving home is sort of a different conversation for me than just letting women just willy-nilly just be irresponsible and go and abort whenever they want. I'm not talking
Yeah,
about
I don't think that
rapes,
abortion
I'm
is
not talking about other
irresponsible.
things.
I actually think
It can be done irresponsibly,
I think that
100%.
I think that stigmatizing access to abortion is irresponsible because you only ensure that there's more unwanted children born into unready households, and that's why in areas with pro-life legislation we see lower life expectancies, higher levels of poverty, lower levels of education, lower wages on average, right? And I think if anything, abortion is incredibly responsible because it ensures that the family dynamic stays in place with men and women, men and men, women and women that desire to start a family and consent to having children compared to forcing 18, 19, and 20-year-old boys and girls into becoming mothers and fathers. And I mean, like you just said, all these women that are trying to go and access abortion are very irresponsible women. So you're saying the alternative is to
No.
prevent them from accessing abortion, then make them moms? Right?
No,
Like now we have all these irresponsible moms raising the next generation of children that they don't even want. And then also just for you to suggest that there's some like widespread epidemic of so many women using it as a form of birth control, when an average in America abortion costs $500. I mean, I just really don't think because of the current state of the economy that individuals have enough money to spend $500 on a one-use form of birth control. So I don't really think it's as wide scales of an epidemic as you'd suggest. I mean, I think according to Planned Parenthood, right, the average woman that accesses abortion through them is like married with a child already with a failure of contraceptive.
So you have a fair point to some degree. I can agree with you on some of that. I understand that line of thinking, but I also, being one person in this giant world or this big country, I've already encountered two women who have admitted that it's basically their form of birth control. They're not friends, but they're people who I've had conversations with, whether it be at a bar or somewhere else. And that's just me, one person. So I've already met two women who admittedly use abortion as a form of birth control because they don't want to be on actual birth control because it's hormones and it makes them.
Well, I mean, I don't think that two women
I'm
in
sure
America
there's
is a
many
widespread
others.
epidemic. Right?
I think there's
also not
a
to mention,
lot of areas.
I don't think that justifies banning abortion. Like, I don't think it does at all. I mean, I think maybe at that point, right, what we should do is like hopefully promote easier and freer access to other forms of contraceptives. You know, let's make it so Plan B doesn't cost $50, maybe costs $5 on a bad day.
It does cost $5 on Amazon. It's $5.
Let's also ensure that there's like free and fair access to condoms, free and fair access to other forms of like women contraceptives, so on and so forth. And let's ensure that there's good education within the American schooling system surrounding sex ed, what sex is, and what it could lead to. I don't think arguing, right, that because the individuals accessing abortion are irresponsible, therefore they shouldn't be able to access abortion. If anything, if what you're saying is true, abortion would be acting as the saving grace in that scenario. Because we don't want the next generation of children to grow up in the homes of irresponsible parents, right?
So where are the statistics of how many of these women are returned? They go and have multiple abortions. And should there? So then how about this?
I think legally, I think a woman should be able to get as many abortions as she wants.
See, that's so. Then are you willing to compromise? Is the question, because all we're asking for is that there be some sort of parameters of
because
that.
You think it's irresponsible.
Being used responsibly.
I have a question.
And you're just saying.
Can we agree that it's irresponsible?
No, you go willy-nilly. I'm just going to trust your judgment on all the time.
Can we agree that it's irresponsible to chain smoke all of your life?
That's just now. This is where we're going to disagree. You're affecting your body, but this is a life within you, so it's not just your body. And also, the man should have a say as well.
Well, the thing is,
if he's
point number one, I don't think that the life of the fetus is morally valuable. I think that the life of a fetus is just as valuable as the plaque that grows on your teeth or the cancer cells that grow in your lungs after you chain smoke your whole life. And the argument that I was just about to give is, well, I mean, let's just like imagine this hypothetical chain smoker who's smoking cigarettes all their life and they develop lung cancer like 1 billion times, and every single time they develop lung cancer, they go to their medical health professional and they get that life of the lung cancer terminated by chemotherapy. Of course, we would argue them like smoking, then going back and getting the chemotherapy to kill the new cancer time and time again is incredibly irresponsible. But like obviously we wouldn't respond to that by banning the chemotherapy. If anything, the chemotherapy would be the lifesaver in that context. But then when we're comparing this to like a woman accessing abortion, sure, you could say in like some senses it's not empirically rational for a woman to continually engage in unsafe sex, then continually go back to Planned Parenthood to get an abortion like every 3 or 4 months. However, in that scenario, I don't think the adequate solution is to ban abortion, right? It's to ensure that in our public schooling, in America's public schools, there's a higher level of access to free and fair contraceptives and like high quality sex education, right? The solution isn't just to ban the saving grace of abortion, so we're not putting unwanted children into unready households driven by irresponsible men and women.
To that point, I think there also needs to be a lot more work done on the foster care system and all that, so that women who don't want to have a child can think about carrying to term and putting up for adoption. However, I will recognize that right now that system is not great.
And maybe something else I'll ask you to do here. This whole time we've been talking about the woman and how you think they're irresponsible. And that's why I say that the pro-life movement isn't about the fetus. It's not about the baby. It's not about the child or its value. It's about women that you view as irresponsible because they hold different values in the context of romance, intimacy, and sex than you do. And this pro-life virtue signal is just a shield that hides your pro-controlling women, like your virtues of being pro the control of women.
Okay. What was the question?
That wasn't a question. It was a statement.
Okay. All right. Sorry, you're talking a little fast. And I wasn't here for the beginning of where this whole debate started. I know there was some talk about a vasectomy or whatnot. I thought you were going there with that.
There was no debate. Your son just asked me to debate you on abortion. And honestly, I'm getting a little bit sick and tired of it. I've been debating on abortion for the last 2.5 hours straight.
I have one last question for you. Do you have any children yet?
Nope.
I would just say, when you get to that point, if you choose to do that, after you watch your wife go in with an ultrasound for her and at the earlier marks before 23 weeks, you can come back and talk about whether or not you thought that life within her was valuable.
Great. Do men have any uteruses?
It's a lot different in that conversation.
Do men have any
a lot different when
uteruses?
you've lived it.
Do men have any uteruses?
No, they don't.
Okay,
but
so as soon as a man can develop a uterus, right? A cis man can develop a uterus, then the cis man can start talking about abortion, right?
No.
What I mean, you're sitting here telling me I got to wait until I have children to talk about abortion. Therefore, men have to wait until they grow uteruses so they can talk about abortion.
No, you're putting words in my mouth. Okay. I never said that you had to wait to talk about it. I'm just saying I would be interested to hear your perspective on it after you've gone through your own pregnancy with your own wife, if that's what you choose to do in the future.
Well, the thing is I don't let optics inform my moral decisions. I mean, basically what you're saying is when you see if you see the process of pregnancy, if you see a newborn on the operating table, if you see the arms and legs ripped off of a fetus outside of a woman's uterus,
because
right? When you ask abortion, you're going to think differently. I just don't think optics. The way that something looks is going to inform me about what's moral or immoral.
But it's not just about what it looks. It's when you ask me why I think that's a valuable human life versus you thinking it's no different than plaque, my answer is something that can't really be described. It has to be lived, and it's not something you've lived.
Okay, so you're basically saying that you can't describe the reason why you think women and girls should have their human rights infringed upon.
No, I don't
by the
think
state banning their access to elective abortions after 12 weeks.
I don't think any woman can put into words what it feels like when you're laying there with a life in your womb and watching that heart flutter on the ultrasound.
You know who else could have described the reasons why?
That's not something that can be described to you. Sorry.
So the other,
that's why you don't like to have these conversations with women, because you don't want to debate a woman about it, but this conversation is revolving around us, right?
Did you know who else couldn't describe why they held to the view they did?
My son.
No,
Go ahead.
No. Nazis, white supremacists, segregationists, pro-slavery Confederates, right? All throughout history, when we see policy that specifically targets, demonizes, and hurts a group of individuals, okay? Mm-hmm. Right? The people that believe in that policy usually can't describe why they support this policy. And I mean, it just seems like that trend is now continuing.
I think I just gave
bans
you
on women's access to abortion.
Incredibly reasonable answer, a very incredibly reasonable answer.
It's not incredibly reasonable. It's not incredibly.
It's 100% reasonable.
It's not incredibly reasonable to say that you think women and girls should be denied access to abortion for reasons that you can't describe.
No, you asked me why I feel that is life within you, that before viability.
Okay,
I told
don't
you
worry.
It's not something. It's a feeling that can't be described.
So we don't have to rely. We don't have to rely on your feelings to prove that a fetus is biologically alive. We can rely on the consensus that exists amongst 97% of biologists.
Well, then why are you arguing the feelings of women who just don't feel like going through and seeing a doctor before 12 weeks or whatever else? I mean, you tell me all these statistics, sweetheart. I've birthed 5 children. I've lived it 5 times. I know what it feels like at every stage of the pregnancy. 12 weeks is adequate. 23 weeks, it's just whatever. It's not something that can be explained to someone who's not been through it. So yes, please do go argue about something else, because you are looking for an argument. I told you we had things that we could agree to disagree on, and that's when you wanted to start getting all, you wanted to bring it into other levels and talk about all these other things. But I respect your opinion. If that's your feelings, cool.
Pregnancy for the millions of women and girls out there here and preach to me ever had a uterus of everybody that women and girls should not be able to access abortion after this, going around the opinions of all the women and girls who have been pregnant, who have given birth, who have raised children, who've gotten abortions, that would argue indifferent of yourself. Okay, it's just it ultimately does not amount to you valuing the experience of individuals that have been pregnant and have given birth. It ultimately amounts to you only valuing your own experiences and discounting of those of the others. But obviously she left now, so we'll end that debate there. You have a good rest of your day. Ice, you've been waiting for a very long time, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing all right. Appreciate you for being patient, man.
Yeah, sure.
I got 3 people to thank. Then I'll pass you the mic. Destiny, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal. Who says, when I was actively miscarrying, we went to the hospital and told the doctors that I was miscarrying. We go and load up the rest of Destiny's message here. Destiny then goes on to say, they said I had a stomach bug and sent me home. I'm extremely grateful that I did not experience any life-threatening complications, but this is the reality for so many women today. Yes, especially women living in areas with restricted access to abortion. Thank you for the $20, Destiny. We all love you. Let's get 200 Destiny W's down below. And let's also get 500 DeBoss W's down below for another $50 over on YouTube. Who says, again, we have proof and that the compromises she has are not active, so we should agree that they are arguing for not what we are getting. We have proof that what little abortion bans we have cause problems. Yes, abortion bans do cause problems. The boss, appreciate you for another $50. Thank you too very much. If you're watching and you want to support me, you want to support the stream, you can support me through PayPal. Venmo's down, strangely enough, but the PayPal's still up. So if you want to support me, you can support me on PayPal. I would also like to thank Espen. I'm going to call you SES. Thank you for the $10 over on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love, ES. Show some love to ES down below. Then Brayley, thank you for the $10 as well. He says, thank you for all that you do. Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving or had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Yeah, it was pretty good. Thank you for the $10, Brayley. All right, Mr. Icy. So you're a Trump supporter.
Yes.
Okay, and your bio says, fuck the political left.
Yeah.
Well, fuck the political right. Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, this is all my personal opinion. You know, I'm actually pro-choice.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Good for you. Good for you. All right, so you're big time MAGA?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that Trump could do to make you stop supporting him?
I don't believe the allegations about JE, but if that would be true, then yeah. I don't think it's true, but that would be Jeffrey E.
Oh, like if he did things to like little kids?
That would be a red line for me.
Okay, so
I don't think it's true.
So in 2005, he boasted about sexually exploiting beauty pageant contestants by unconsensually barging into their dressing rooms when they were naked. Then we had 4 people that competed at Miss Teen USA in 1997 speak out and say that he did this to them. So seemingly, like, we do have enough evidence to prove that he's sexually exploited either naked women and/or naked little girls. So I mean, I feel like your red line's already been met.
Well, you know, I mean, here's the thing. To me, I don't understand why Biden would not have leaked something if there was something there. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously, don't you?
Whoa! Can you like respond to everything I just said?
Oh, to the walking in the dressing room?
Yeah, because you said the red line that you hold against Trump is like him like sexually exploiting women or girls. Okay, well, he's already admitted to that.
Well, I mean, walking in is a lot different than actual, physical contact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so sexual violence isn't just physical contact. It's any unconsensual sexual conduct.
Look, walking through the beauty pageant, I'm not saying it's his finest moment, but it's not that big a deal to me.
It is a really big
deal. It's a good thing.
Okay, so I mean, one second. First, we got to address the chat. Everybody's spamming that you use slurs in other lives. Do you like to use slurs, sir?
No.
Okay, if you guys could prove that or like give me any references that he's used slurs in other lives. I have the live channels open. The live channel open up with my Discord. I saw that message, like one person dropped it into the chat, then a lot of individuals started reposting it. If it's true, obviously we'll address it. However,
like what slurs? What are they talking? I don't know.
Do you know what a slur is?
No, I know what a slur is. I just don't.
I mean, have you ever walked into another live and walked into another live and slurred someone?
No.
Okay.
Not what I would consider a slur. No. Like the N-word. Or anything? No, of course not. Or the F word? No.
Okay, it's not what you would consider a slur. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. No, the ones I said, I've never said.
Okay.
I don't talk like that.
All right. Well, what I'll ask you to do is
I call
things that ought to be considered slurs, but like I like really ask dude to sexually exploit naked little girls. You sick.
It's not that big a deal.
Can we agree of one's position of power over the abuse? What? What the fuck? I'm sorry. Whoa. Run it back. What? 1 second. I need to replay this stream. 1 second. I don't think I was properly listening to the last thing you said. Really want to be able to respond to the fact that you don't think it is a big deal for a grown-ass dude to sexually exploit naked little girls, you sick fuck.
Come on, Dean. It's not that big a deal.
What?
Walking through a locker room?
Bro, do you hear yourself? I'm sorry. I literally had to play that one back. Dean says big deal for pedophiles to sexually exploit naked little girls. Guest says, ha 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 ha, not a big deal. You're sick.
Dude, wait a
You're
minute.
fu-
Wait a
you're
minute.
you're tall. You're so tall. Like I'm
Better
fucking
not
over
be
here,
manic?
bouncing off the walls, looking a little manic.
Dude, you seem
because
like you're
listen,
bouncing off the
listen.
walls.
Yeah, I'm sitting over here bouncing off the walls, sounding a little manic because I'm talking to some dudes that doesn't think predators preying on naked little girls is a big deal. Like, come on, dude. What? Like, are you serious?
Walking
What if it was your
through
daughter?
the-
What if it was your daughter? What if you took your daughter to Kohl's and she was trying on a dress in one of the dressing rooms and she was in the middle of taking her clothes off before she put the dress on? She was naked. 65-year-old white guy brushes past you, takes the key, unlocks the door, looks at her while she's naked. Is that a big deal? That's a big
that's
deal?
more intense. Well, yeah, but what Trump
Can
did,
we
what
can we
you're
can we
describing, I
agree
think
that that's a big deal?
that's a big deal.
That is that's a really big deal, right?
It's a big deal, yeah.
Okay. So just to clarify, we just agreed that indeed it is a big deal for older men to unconsensually look at the naked body of anybody. Like unconsensually look at the naked body of a woman or look at the naked body of a little girl, which is unconsensual by nature because girls can't consent, right?
Sure.
Okay. So therefore, it was a big deal when Donald Trump unconsensually barged into the dressing rooms of Miss USA and Miss Teen USA to sexually exploit the people in the space by looking at them while they're naked.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different than like what the example you gave. Didn't you say like the guy unlatched the door and intentionally opened? I mean, it's a little different.
I mean, he intentionally walked
I mean, he
in.
just went through the general. Well, what was his? What did he say? Well, I own the place. Is that what he was kind of saying?
Yeah, he said he owned
Yeah,
the
look,
place,
like I
therefore he could walk into the dressing rooms. Yeah.
Look, man, like I said, it wasn't his finest moment. I just don't look. I had a similar conversation with Parker about
So
this,
what's the
okay?
difference? What's the difference between the scenario I gave you about the floor manager of a Kohl's looking into the dressing room of a naked kid and Donald Trump doing this at Miss Teen USA and Miss USA? How's it different?
Well, you said that what I took from what you said with the Coles example was he intentionally unlocked the door. It was just one little girl,
Wait.
as
so-
opposed to just walking through a general area where he's like it was a different circumstance.
Oh,
you know? It was a different-
see, the difference between the circumstances that Trump did it to more than one little girl. He did it to multiple. And it wasn't a general
sounded
area.
like
it was a
just
private woman's only space.
Oh, well, yeah, like, but you're for like T women being in women's bathrooms, aren't you?
Well, I mean, it sounds like you sure are if you want to make that equivocation.
No.
I talked to Trump supporters who try to pull this card every single time. If you're going to sit here and tell me that trans women going into the women's restroom is logically identical to Donald Trump walking backstage and perverting on women and girls, first and foremost, you're just crazy. Second of all, because you're okay with Donald Trump walking into the space and you say it's quote unquote not that big of a deal, therefore you are also okay with trans women walking into women's restroom, and you'd argue that too is not too big of a deal, right? So kind of see how your own logic backfired against you there, because you're never going to want to argue in support of trans people, even though seemingly you just said your own logic implies that. And secondarily here, Trump supporters always... Oh, I'm not reaching. You're the one that reached. You're the one that reached by comparing the two scenarios. And because you compared the two scenarios, that means because you're okay with one, that implies that you're okay with the other. The same way you attempted to call me a hypocrite, arguing that because I'm not okay with one, that implies that I shouldn't be okay with the other, although I am.
Okay, T women are not women.
Okay, and we'll happily
think
talk
they
about
are?
your transphobia once we are done
Alright.
addressing the fact that Donald Trump sexually exploited these naked women and naked girls. When somebody loses a debate, what they do is they try to pivot. And I'm not going to let that slide, little bro. You got to
I'm
address
not
the fact that
pivoting.
you're defending Donald Trump sexually exploiting naked women and naked girls by unconsensually walking backstage into a private woman's only space when there's no men around to look at the naked bodies of these women and girls unconsensually for the furtherance of sexual gratification or the exertion of power and control. So go ahead and address it, man. And by the way, addressing this point does not include bringing up trans women. That is just an attempt to pivot away from an argument that you're losing because you're sick.
No, I'm not pivoting. No.
Well, I mean,
Now, look,
you
said,
probably don't
I
even know what a
think it
pivot
was-
is. If you don't think that's a pivot, then you don't know
I know
what
what
a
a
pivot is.
pivot is.
Okay, define pivot.
I know. It's a deflection. It's like you ask me a question, then I say something unrelated.
Okay, so when I'm asking you a question, how could you possibly defend Donald Trump sexually exploiting these little girls? And then you respond by saying, aren't you okay with trans women going into the restrooms? You're in turn asking me something unrelated, giving me a non-answer to the question that I asked you.
Well, it's men in women's spaces.
Oh, so once again, we've already went through this logic. First and foremost, you're okay with Trump doing it. Therefore, because you think it's synonymous to trans women walking into the women's restroom, because of your logic, you're also okay with trans women doing it. Second of all, the only time individuals bring up this point is when they're losing the debate. And third of all, I'll happily address to you
I'm
why
not
I am
losing.
okay with trans women going into women's restroom, but I'm not okay with Donald Trump walking backstage into these dressing rooms once we can finish the conversation about your support for Donald Trump, even though he sexually exploited naked women and naked girls.
I conceded it wasn't his finest moment. What do you want me to? Yeah, I mean,
So
I
you agree that
conceded
it's
that.
sexual exploitation?
I don't know if what do they call it? A peeping tom or so. It's that he owned the place. It's just not
Okay,
that
yeah,
big a
he
deal to
owned the
me.
place. He didn't own the body of the women and girls.
Well, agreed. I didn't. It wasn't as I didn't think it was
So
the
do you
right thing to
agree or
do.
disagree that it's sexual exploitation?
I wouldn't call it sexual exploitation.
Okay, well, would you agree that the definition of sexual exploitation would include the abuse of one's position of power over the position of vulnerability of one else in the furtherance of unconsensual sexual conduct?
There was no sexual conduct.
Could you disagree
He
or
just
disagree if
walked
that's the
through.
definition?
He just looked
Could you,
at
could you disagree or
what
disagree if that would if that is the definition of sexual exploitation or not?
the end there where you said miss sexual conduct. I don't remember exactly what your wording
I'm
was.
gonna have
But
to go to. I'm gonna have to repeat the question because you're not tracking. Would you agree? Make sure you're listening, buddy. Put your big boy pants on. Would you agree that the definition of sexual exploitation would include the abuse of one's position of power over the position of vulnerability of one else in the furtherance of unconsensual sexual conduct?
there you go. Unconsensual sexual conduct. I disagree with that part. Everything else you said, yes, was right.
So you don't think that sexual
There was
exploitation would
no
include
sexual
unconsensual?
conduct, man. He just walked through. There was no touching. There was
Okay.
no. That's all I'm saying. Look, you're right about everything else. You're right about.
Listen very closely to what I'm about to say. I'm not
Yeah.
asking you if you agree this is something Trump's done. I'm asking if you agree that this is a part of the definition of the word the phrase sexual exploitation.
The end part, no.
You don't think that unconsensual sexual conduct is a part of the definition of sexual exploitation?
There was. Oh well, but just in the example, I thought you were referring to specifically somebody just walking through a man walking through a woman's space.
I'm just, oh my God, I'm just asking you if the definition of the phrase sexual exploitation includes the abuse of one's position of power over the position of vulnerability of somebody else in the furtherance of unconsensual sexual conduct. We're not talking about Trump. We're not talking about anyone. We're just talking about what the definition of this phrase is.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't think the end of the definition fit what President Trump did. But yeah, you're right. I agree.
Perfect.
I can see.
So now we're going to go on to how that definition
Okay.
fits what Trump did. So you already agreed that he abused his position of power over the position of vulnerability of one else. So now we just need you to concede that this was in the furtherance of unconsensual sexual conduct. So we're going to first hit on the unconsensual bit, then we're going to hit on the sexual conduct bit. Do we agree that Donald Trump did not have the consent of the minors to look at their naked bodies because minors can't consent?
That's probably, yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
Good. Perfect. Now on to the sexual conduct part. I define sexual conduct is an action that either does promote sexual gratification or generally promotes sexual gratification. Do you agree or disagree?
Sexual conduct, I more just think of as like actual physical conduct. So maybe our definitions are just a little off.
So you don't think that watching porn is sexual conduct? Idiot.
Sexual, fuck you, smart ass little fucking prick.
Wow.
You're fucking zero.
Dude, you just got owned.
I got owed?
Yeah.
No. You're a little fucking bitch.
Come on. You're going to crash out now that you got owned by a 21-year-old?
Nah, I'm just fucking with you. You're talking to me like I'm garbage. So I had to get you back a little bit. You seem kind of manic, but you look a little calmer now. You on medication there, buddy?
No. No, I'm not.
No?
Are you drunk there, pal?
No.
Well, you kind of sound a good 4 shots of whiskey deep because I just asked you, is
No,
watching
I'm a
porn
gin
sexual
drink. I'm a gin
conduct?
drink.
And then you responded by saying, shut up, bitch. Like, okay, like you sound like a very aggressive drunk.
Well, you were smarting off to me. You were being impolite to me. I'm always polite to people till they're rude to me first, man.
Well, okay, I called you an idiot, but it was kind of true, and I feel like it was deserved. I'll defend that.
Is that what you did? You said something that made me mad, but
I called you an idiot. That made you mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you
Yeah,
want to
you
respond to the
shouldn't have
question? No, I should have. I'd say it again.
Fuck you.
Fuck you too, dude. Calm down. It's a kind
Hey,
of
your
embarrassing.
pussy ass friend Parker, is he still whining like a little bitch too?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess we shouldn't cry. Real men shouldn't cry, right?
It's okay sometimes.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Calvin.
a really good time to cry is when you're frustrated because you're trying to convince somebody that they shouldn't support child rapists. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, so you think he did that?
Well, yeah, I think that's exactly what he was doing. Parker was having a debate with an individual who said that they would still support Trump as president, even if they knew with certainty that he had raped a child. And of course, Parker was going to shed a tear, get emotional, because he spent like 30 to 45 minutes of his life trying to convince somebody that it's not cool to support child rape. Right? Like, by the way, I just want to bring this point up. When you attempt to argue that it's like bitchy or bad to cry or to demonstrate emotion when faced with frustration onset by somebody telling you that you should support child rapists, you are in turn normalizing child rape. But it's not like that's a new concept to the guy that not even 10 minutes ago said it's not that big of a deal when 65-year-old men sexually exploit naked little girls.
I thought Parker was upset because of his Piers Morgan interview, where he was like shaking or some shit, or Piers Morgan said he was shaking.
Well, Piers Morgan did say that he was shaking, but no, that has nothing to do with why Parker was crying today.
No, look. I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson cries a lot. So yeah, crying for guys is okay sometimes. You know? It's okay for men to cry.
Yeah. So do you want to respond to the question that I asked you? Do you think that watching porn is sexual conduct?
Watching porn is sexual conduct. No, I think it would just be watching porn. I mean, look, maybe this is where I'm missing you. Okay, sexual conduct to me is actual physical touching, some sort of physical interaction. So if our definitions are just off, it's okay. You know.
Well, I mean, I don't even truly think that you hold to that definition. I think that you're only telling us that you hold to that definition so you could downplay the wrongness of what Trump did, and I can prove it to you. If a 12-year-old girl in middle school has a male teacher that walks up to her and tells her that he's going to send her to the principal's office and give her a failing grade in all of his classes unless she takes her clothes off after everybody leaves the classroom and lets him look at her naked body, but he never touches her, was she a victim of sexual violence and sexual exploitation?
So in your example, she actually does it?
Yeah. She takes her clothes off because, you know, she's fucking 12 and her teacher's telling her that if she doesn't, she's going to get failed and sent to the principal's office, right? Did that teacher sexually exploit her?
Well, I hope she would have told the guy to fuck off and go tell her parents, but I'm assuming your example happened.
I'm not going to allow you to judge the response of this hypothetical 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, fair enough. That would be sexual.
She's 12.
That's inappropriate. Yeah.
Is that sexual exploitation?
Yeah, that would be.
Okay, so because you just agreed that this non-physical act of this older man exerting his position of power, right, because he's her teacher, over her position of vulnerability, she's a fucking 12-year-old girl in his class, in the furtherance of unconsensual sexual conduct, which is him looking at her while she was naked, you just completely conceded to the definition of sexual exploitation that I gave you in justification that Donald Trump sexually exploited these little girls and women. Now you're going to start crashing out. Now you're going to start getting loud. Now you're going to start telling me to shut the fuck up because you just got owned. That was a direct concession. The exact definition that I gave you of sexual exploitation that in relation to what Donald Trump did to those women and girls is the definition of sexual exploitation, and which would tell us and inform us insofar as why it would be sexual exploitation for a teacher to do these things to their student.
Your example's different.
It's actually
not the same as Krupp.
As it relates as it relates to the definition of the word sexual exploitation.
The teacher exploited the student. Okay, this
without
is
physical contact, right?
But there was an extortion and a blackmail component to it. That's not what happened.
Oh wait, but I thought that you said that.
Your example's
wait.
dog shit.
I thought that you said that unconsensual sexual conduct.
Shit.
I thought that you said that sexual conduct was only physical.
No. You said sexual. I never said sexual exploitation wasn't only physical.
Yes, you did, because it's implied due to the fact
that
one
of the
necessary. Yes, I'll tell you all. I'll tell you all. Because the definition that we agreed on for the term sexual exploitation hinges on the necessary component of unconsensual sexual conduct, and you define sexual conduct as only physical engagements.
Yeah, but sexual exploitation could be non-physical, like you gave. But the difference with Trump is
if sexual exploitation can be non-physical,
there was a blackmail extortion element of your example, you fucking jackass.
Oh well, that quote unquote blackmail and extortion element would be the fact that Donald Trump was a boss of these women and girls signing. The only person getting manic here is probably the guy screaming bitch and jackass because he's getting owned in a debate. Sit down, stop projecting. The Cope is insane.
Fuck you.
Oh, I'm really going to expect the 45-year-old drunk to diagnose me with mental illness. Buddy, fuck you too.
Yeah, fuck you.
Oh, is that your first word, little man baby?
Yeah,
Oh, he's finally starting to
tough
speak.
guy. Yeah, tough guy, D. And you think you lift weights and you're tough? Is that it?
Well, I mean, I do lift weights, and I'm much tougher than you.
Really?
Yeah, come on, dude.
Is that so?
Yeah, you're trying to make yourself look tough by getting a fucking Roblox haircut with your 6-inch forehead and the Neo glasses from the Matrix movie made in the 90s. We're in 2025, bro. Wake up, get a new fit, get a new look. It's kind of aged. Just saying.
Get in the cage, dude? You any good? You know any MMA? You know any martial arts?
Come on, dude. I'm not gonna do that to you until you get sober. Okay? You're gonna need to like calm down from the 7 shots first before you attempt to step in the ring. I'm kind of afraid that you trip over, one of the ropes. Instant KO before even throw a punch.
Yeah, Dean, you're in good shape, man. You got any martial arts skill or no?
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like you have a brain because 5 seconds ago you're asking me if I ever went to the gym, and now you're telling me I'm in good shape. So which one is it?
No, I know you went to the gym. I heard you talk about it. You're in pretty good shape. Do you do any martial arts? You're telling me how you can beat me up and shit, right?
Well, I was telling you I could beat you up. I don't think I said that.
You said something like that. I don't know.
I think I just called you drunk with a large forehead.
Something before that. I don't know.
Neo glasses from the 1990s Matrix movie.
Yeah, that's fair enough, man.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
you gotta.
I have a question. Do you like typically get this emotional when you lose a debate?
I'm not losing.
Yeah, the way that you lost was by conceding that sexual conduct is not always physical. When that was that is what your argument hinged on in the rejection that what Donald Trump did to the women and girls at these beauty pageants was not sexual exploitation.
Sexual conduct is physical. I said sexual exploitation. I agreed with you with the example you gave of the teacher. That was sexual exploitation.
Okay, can you define sexual exploitation?
The improper. Let's see. The improper advancement of a victimizer onto a victim without the person able to be given consent.
So
what was unique about your example was there was a blackmail component to it.
So let's just re-listen to his definition of sexual exploitation.
Well, don't play it selectively.
What? What the fuck? I'm sorry. Run it back. 1 second. I need to replay this stream. I think that's old. We need to refresh this stream. Give me a second here. I want to get my story.
Hey, Dean, do you know Thickless Cage?
What?
Do you know who Thickless Cage is?
I don't know who Thickless Cage is. I know who Nicolas Cage is.
Never mind then.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. While you're looking that up here, here's what I can tell you about the left, man. About 25% of people on the left, or your age, thinks that political violence against the right is justified, and y'all consider words political violence.
Should people be president if they think political violence is justified?
Well, you see, the election was rigged on J6, if that's what you're referring to. Like 1960 with Nixon and Kennedy.
Should people be president if they think political violence is justified?
Should people be president if they think political violence is justified? Sometimes.
Okay. So then don't tell me your problem. So then don't tell me that your problem with the left is a trait that you would accept.
Self-defense.
Oh, if it's self-defense. Okay. Was it self-defense when Donald Trump called for the execution of Democrats?
They were advocating for sedition, and that's actually punishable by unalivement.
What's sedition?
Sedition is actively trying to undermine or overthrow the U.S. government.
The U.S. government would include the Constitution,
plotting against the government, and that's what the Democrats were doing. They were saying not to follow orders. That's sedition.
Oh, is it seditious to tell people not to follow unlawful orders made by the president?
Okay, they were not unlawful orders. What orders were unlawful?
Well, sure. I'll definitely answer that question after you answer mine.
Is it unlawful for?
I'll repeat the question. Is it seditious to tell members of our military to not follow any unlawful orders that are made?
No, not if they're actually unlawful.
Okay, so you disagreed that it is not seditious to tell the military to not follow any unlawful orders that are made. That is all the Democrats said. don't follow any unlawful orders. They didn't specify any specific ones. They didn't point towards any specific orders that Trump has made. They just said, if an order is unlawful, you don't have to abide by it. Which, by the way, is the same.
If it's unlawful, Dean?
One moment. Which, by the way, is the same thing that the oath that they took to uphold the Constitution says. So, if you're going to charge these 7 Democrats with sedition because they said if a order conflicts with the law to follow the law, then would you argue, right, that the oath that members of our military took to uphold the Constitution, which also says, right, if an order conflicts with the law, follow the law and disregard the order, is seditious?
Well, how is it established what all laws are unlawful? What orders are unlawful? How is that established?
I don't think that you're answering my question. But by the way that we would establish if a order is unlawful or not is through case law, as adjudicated in our criminal justice system,
You
by
go to
local
court,
courts,
wouldn't it?
federal courts, circuit courts, Supreme Court, so on and so forth. Now, can you answer my
You know,
question?
generally
If it is
speaking-
seditious for these Democrats to say you don't have to follow any order if it's unlawful, is the oath that members of our military took when joining the military
Hey,
also
why don't you
seditious
bring up
since it says the same thing?
Fickless Cage is in the chat. You want to bring him up?
No, I don't know who that is. I think I'd ask you to respond to my question first.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I just got some sort of violation notice. So your question was
Why are you asking me to bring Nicolas Cage up?
he threatened to pew me a number of times.
I don't really know.
Yeah,
if
he's
I
buddies
wanna
with.
get
He
in-
knows Santana knows him. Santana can give you the background on it if you want.
I don't really know if
I
I
got
want
the recordings of it.
Well, I'll
Well, he said he could- he said he could-
let him speak for himself. I'll bring him up.
All right, bring him on up.
Now, before I do that, I want you to answer my question. If these Democratic lawmakers were engaging in sedition by telling the military that they don't have to follow any unlawful orders if an unlawful order is made, would you also argue, right, that the oath that members of our military took to uphold the Constitution is seditious because the oath tells them not to follow any unlawful orders?
Yeah, but again, man, like generally speaking,
Could I get a yes or a no?
the laws are not unlawful. If the president's
Are you
doing
going to answer my question or
basically with
not?
basically a rare exception. I'm trying to answer your question, man. I'm trying. No, is it sedition if unlawful, if they reject unlawful orders? No, I agree with you on that.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
so then the Democratic lawmakers weren't guilty of sedition, and Donald Trump basically called for the
Nah, bullshit.
execution.
I don't think that's what they said.
Okay, then you haven't seen the video that they posted. All that they said is if an unlawful order is made, don't follow it.
I'll watch it.
Now you said that.
Fickless is here. Hey, buddy.
I should also clarify, I am a 14-year Army veteran, so I can definitely talk about this as well. Also, hi, I'm a friend of Santana's.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You as well.
Yeah, hey, Fick, I actually listened to our first encounter, man. It was on September 27th.
Yeah, hush,
You
Pooh
said
Bear.
you could,
So
you
what
said
John
you could,
is
you said you
hush.
could fold me like
So
a
what?
t-shirt.
Yeah,
I
that's
said
correct.
you said-
And I will again, and I will reiterate that multiple
you said
times. I'll
just
fold you like a
shoot
t-shirt, John.
You said I'll just shoot
So
you. That's what you
what
said to me,
John is
motherfucker.
misquoting, and you can play this in front of
Dean, I'll
10,000
play the
people
recording.
and just confirm
Not the
what I'm
recording.
about to say. And just confirm what I'm about to say. John decided to say, "Hey, fight me in the ring," with his Christian ninja ass.
Fine.
And I told him, John, I live in Texas, and I'm a proud like gun-toting individual. I live in Texas. It's a stand your ground state. If he or any individual in the state of Texas decided that they wanted to impose harm upon me, well, I would just exercise my right. And John has taken that as I want to shoot him. And every time he plays the recording, it literally says exactly that.
Wait, this actually like
Why
this,
not play
is
it?
This is actually like a pretty funny point
Correct.
because you were just arguing that Donald Trump was well within his right to call for the execution of these Democratic lawmakers because you said that they were guilty of a crime in which would warrant execution. However, self-defense would be a warranted defense from murder inside of a court in the American criminal justice system. So in other words,
Pretty much.
the same logic that you tried to use to justify Donald Trump's call of the execution of Democrats in Congress actually can be used to justify what this guy said. So I'd say
Also-
you should stop picking and choosing when you apply your logic and when you don't apply your
man.
logic, and just try to be a rational person. And for the future, I'll ask this of just both of you guys: use the phrase "pew pew" instead of "shoot," just for TikTok.
Firearm, to be fair. You're right. That's fair. You're correct. Yeah, I
play the
also told
recording.
John, and John
I'll play the
also,
recording.
and John also
I'll
agreed
play
on,
the
on another
recording
live
right now. Let's play
that
the recording,
John,
motherfucker. Let's
hush.
play it.
I have to tell the rest of the crowd
Let's
how
play
big
the
of a baby
recording
you
of
are.
it. Let's see who's telling
John
the
also
truth.
has family in Texas, and I told John, well, that's great. I live in Texas. I'll pick you up from the
Play the
airport.
recording.
Meet me here
Let's go
on
on.
federal property
Let's play the
at a
recording.
particular post office, and we can just do this. We can settle it like, I'll pick you up from the airport. I'll buy you dinner. Even drove out to the location,
shit,
live
man.
streamed
You're
for about 45 minutes, waiting for him to show up. But John didn't. It's the first time I've ever been stood up on a date by a guy, so I guess I know how that feels now, finally.
So there's a lot of lore here.
Yeah, there's lore. John's incredibly racist, xenophobic. Has he gone down the
Play the
IQ route yet,
recording.
where he starts talking about that? It's phenomenal.
Recording?
He's incredibly racist and xenophobic.
No, all that we've covered
is-
so far is that he's like incredibly like pro like P3-ophilia.
Oh,
like,
it'll get
nearly?
worse. It'll get worse. Trust me.
Okay.
Would you like me to play the recording?
It's not
I'll
my
play it.
life, buddy.
Dean, I'll play the recording.
Play the recording of what?
Of me
Of,
telling him
this
that
whole
I'll
interaction
utilize
when
my
we
rights in
start.
the state of Texas.
This whole interaction. You want to hear it? I'll play it.
Why are you such a snowflake?
He threatened to unalive me a number of times.
John,
you
didn't
kinda
you
sound
threaten
like
to fight me?
You just kind of sound like a snowflake, honestly.
No. Wait a minute, Fake. Look, I went back to the original time. It was on September 27th of this year. Okay, that's the first time we talked about this. You were making fun of my martial arts skills, right? And then you said something like, you said something like, I want to stuff you into a locker and take your lunch money.
I
So,
said someone
that's
should
what you
have stuffed
said,
you into
man.
a locker and taken your lunch money.
Oh,
and then
dude.
to
I
be
said-
fair.
Dude,
And
that's
I said, "Oh, you'd
that's
lose."
that's
I
terrible.
said, "Oh, you'd lose, motherfucker." I said, "Oh, you'd lose." I said, "Hey, you want to get in the ring with a referee, right?" And then you said, and I'm skipping. We could play the recording, and you said, "Well, I would just shoot you."
Right, because
I'm
I live in the
sorry,
state
I
of
would
Texas.
just pew,
If
pew.
you
Sorry.
or any
Sorry.
other individual in the
I
state of
would just
Texas
pew
decided
you.
that they wanted to impose violence upon me, I would do that. Yes.
No,
I am
no, I
well within
just-
my rights here in the
no.
state of Texas.
No, you said
It's a
I
stand your ground state, my guy.
Yeah, but you kept on saying how you could just beat me hand to hand. but
Correct.
you
I
said, "Why would
absolutely could. I could fold you
Okay,
like a
but
t-shirt.
Then you just said, "Why
Guys,
would I
guys, let's
bother?
use
I would
TikTok
just
safe language here. Pew pew, please.
Pew pew. He
Yeah,
said, "I would
John,
just pew pew."
John,
you, and you said it.
John,
Let's just
John,
play the fucking
John,
record. Let's play
John,
the
I'll
recording.
explain to you why.
Let's play
I'll
the
explain to you
recording.
why. John, because you're not worth the time.
That's what
You
said.
are
Maybe we're-
you are a sad individual that gets way too inebriated on gin, hops up
Hey.
on lives, forgets what they're doing, and has to record every conversation because you know good goddamn well you're gonna forget it the next day.
Ryan. I've been on the.
That's
I've been on the
why
web-
that's why you have been banned from live after live after live after live. And also because you're incredibly racist, xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, and as we have clearly established, you think about men more than a lot of gay men do, and you push back on all of this stuff so
Oh.
much that I'm
Just against
convinced
the
you just
glamorization
want
of
to
it.
push back on
Oh.
it, John.
Oh, I know
Glamorization of it.
this
That's-
guy. I
I'm
just went to his
paranoid,
I just
Dean.
went to his
Paranoid.
following. I just went to his following, and he follows one account. It's his other
Paranoid,
account.
Dean.
And,
Yeah,
and,
you're very. Yeah.
and I remember this
Mm-hmm.
guy because he came up here arguing that like America's a white nation.
Well, not exactly, but yeah, you told me I look like Jimmy Neutron without I don't know, some shit like that. I don't know.
No, it's the dude from Grandma's Boy.
Yeah, he came up here like whining that like white people are superior, some shit like that.
Nah, I just
Yeah, that's
said
what he does.
Where I have a question. Where'd that superior go once you popped out the womb?
The same place his hairline did.
I got plenty- hey,
so
Dean,
did that
Dean,
did,
Dean,
did
Dean.
that superiority just skip you or something? I don't know. It's always like the most lousy, trashy, unintelligent people ever saying that they're superior because of the color of their skin, right? Like, brother, like I honestly, I was about to say if you weren't 45, I'd tell you you likely live in your mother's basement. Even though you are 35, you probably live in your mother's basement. Like, what are we doing?
No, he's in his 40s.
45, you probably live in your mother's basement. I'm so superior. I'm so superior.
Well, Dean.
You live in your mom's basement. I'm so superior. You couldn't pass a 3rd grade math test. My skin makes me better. You couldn't tell me the square root of 9.
3.
You answered the question. Good job.
Good job. We got a reader.
Hey, Dean. I heard you got a bald spot on the top of your head. Is that true?
No, it's actually gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I started taking some pills.
Oh yeah, that's
Finasteride and minoxidil. It's gone.
Is that Propecia? Is that what that is?
No, it's early onset male pattern baldness because I cortisol max by talking to idiots like you for 4 hours, 7 days a week.
Oh yeah, it's a little young to go bald there, isn't it, buddy?
I mean, not many other 21-year-olds cortisol max to the same extent I do. I'm stressed the fuck out, buddy.
I wouldn't have bothered with you if you didn't insult my hairline, man.
What's that?
John, I'm insulting your hairline. John, I'm insulting your hairline. I'm insulting your hairline because your forehead's so big you don't have dreams, you have movies. That's me that's insulting your hairline.
You know, nobody. Before I got into social media, I haven't been at this very long. Less than a year. Only on TikTok, probably about 4 or 5 months. But nobody's ever told me I had a giant forehead before. I never knew that. I'm being straight with you when I say.
I mean,
it's pretty big.
That's unfortunate.
Hey, you want me to play? You want me to play the recording or what, Dean? I'll play it.
John, I literally just told everybody what it said.
So how about we just
I'm
have
literally doubling down on it.
Let's see.
So how about we just have a continued political debate, John?
All right.
Okay. So I actually kind of want to pick up where we left off, which was you denying what Donald Trump did to those women and girls as sexual exploitation, rooted within the fact that he didn't physically touch them. But then I got you to concede that sexual exploitation doesn't necessitate physical touch through the hypothetical that I gave you of a school teacher and a child in that same school.
Nah, I just thought of sexual misconduct or sexual conduct is actual physical, and if you're using a different definition,
that's not true at all. And I say this as a certified SARC, as a certified sexual assault response coordinator. That's completely and entirely false. You can sexually harass somebody by just having a background on your phone of some sort of explicit photograph. That still falls within the category of sexual harassment. Point blank, period. You don't have to touch somebody. You don't have to say something to somebody. There are still a lot of things that can fall within either the category of sexual harassment or sexual assault, largely dependent on your behavior. So, no, you're just flat out wrong.
Right, because unconsensual, sexual conduct
doesn't
doesn't just include physical touch, right? And we went over that too, right? Looking at my girlfriend when she's naked, consensually, by the way, that's sexual conduct. Okay, watching pornography, that's sexual conduct.
Okay, well, this is a serious question. Would you say it was sexual assault if some guy just gave a cat call? I mean, you wouldn't consider that sexual assault.
No, that's sexual harassment.
Harassment. That'd be harassment.
Yes.
Yes, John.
You still think that would be sexual misconduct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, maybe the semantics were a little off. If that's the
this
definition,
isn't semantics.
Well, it is semantics in the sense that we're trying to define these terms, but it's not semantics in the sense that we're just relaying true events that happen in reality that are unconsensual sexual advancements. But you do agree when it falls down to the words, because you said that if a teacher were to look at the naked body of one of their school students, that would be sexual exploitation, even if they didn't touch them. Thereby, you agree that sexual conduct is not always physical.
Well, yeah. Well, and your example was even worse too, because there was a blackmail, an extortion component to it too. So that was even worse. So yeah, I agree with you. That's completely inappropriate.
So you agree that sexual conduct isn't always physical?
If this is the way you don't want to define it, okay. I mean, I guess maybe I just thought conduct is physical. So I mean, if that's how you want to define it, all right, I'll give you that.
Well, no. It's not. I'm going to push back a little bit. It's not how he wants to define it. It's not how I want to define it. It is how it is defined. Are you implying that you don't define sexual harassment as sexual misconduct?
I guess sexual harassment could be in the umbrella.
No. I'm not asking. I'm asking you whether or not you consider sexual harassment to be sexual misconduct. It's a very simple yes or no question, John.
Yeah. Yes. That sounds right. Yeah.
No. I need you to be very succinct and cogent in your response, John.
Yes.
Do you or do you not think that sexual harassment is or is not sexual misconduct.
It is.
Okay.
So here's Trump boasting about sexually exploiting naked women and naked girls. If you've ever been here before, you've definitely heard it a billion times. We're gonna go and play it for the billion first to expose another crazy person.
To do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
So yes, when the owner of a beauty pageant uses their position of power as the owner of said beauty pageant to unconsensually barge into the private woman and girl's dressing room to then look at their naked bodies, that is not something you laugh at. That is something you condemn because it is sexual exploitation.
Can you, just for my own clarity, John, can you explain what was funny? I missed the punchline.
Trump just makes me laugh. That's all. I like the guy.
but specifically, what about what he said made you laugh?
I don't remember.
Oh wait,
Well, what was funny?
Yeah,
I don't
I'll
understand.
replay it. Yeah, I'll replay it.
Yeah, I don't understand the joke.
And you tell me to pause when he says the thing that made you laugh.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting.
So what made you laugh there?
He's the owner and he's inspecting it. Yeah.
What about that's funny?
I don't know, man. I just like.
No. Well, you're laughing, so clearly you do understand what the humor is. So, I mean, fill me in, John. I want to get the joke. I like comedy. Fill me in.
I already told you. Just Trump. I like Trump. He makes me laugh.
So
I mean, I like my dog, but I just walked into the kitchen and fed my dog, but I didn't laugh at him. So, I mean, fill me in.
Yeah. So what about that was funny? What's funny, John?
I don't know, man. It just made me laugh.
But the question is why?
Well, just his confidence, his narcissism. He's like, well, I own the place. I just walk right.
Oh, okay. So when a man confidently preys on naked children, it's funny.
Come on, Dean. It's not that big. Look, I'll give you an example, man.
Oh
Hang on a
wait.
second.
So what did I just say? Is that false?
It's
It's
not that big of a
Making
deal.
a mountain out of a molehill.
It's not that big of a
You
deal.
have Trump derangement syndrome, so it makes sense. So everything the guy does, you put on under a fucking giant
Dude,
microscope. Look, I'll give you an example.
He's looking at the naked bodies of
look.
women and girls without consent.
Look, man, I was actually debating your buddy Parker.
Why? Like,
something
come on. If
Well, let me give you
if that was your
parallel,
daughter or
okay?
your wife, I'd hope that you'd like say it's a big deal.
Okay, I don't have a daughter or a wife.
Good,
but if
good.
Frankly, frankly, for the best.
Good. Frankly, for the best.
girlfriend-
Agreed.
If my girlfriend,
She needs to break up.
John, you don't have a girlfriend. We've
have
already
plenty of
established this. You
girlfriends.
don't. You don't have to lie just because there's more people here. We've already established you don't.
I've had plenty of girlfriends, man. Plenty of them.
They just go to a different school, so we wouldn't know them, right?
Okay, honestly, I'm kind of done with this dialogue because you just keep repeating it's not that big of a deal. Listen, at the end of the day, you're going to say it's not that big of a deal because he's actually done it. You accuse me of having Trump derangement syndrome. The only legitimate TDS
time.
that actually exists is the derangement
time.
surrounding the members of the Trump cult and their undying loyalty and support of Trump. Anything he does will never be a big deal to you. He's killing the government in 2020. Not that big of a deal.
The left
His
has-
sexual
the left
exploitation of naked women and girls. Not that big of a deal. Rape of E. Jean Carroll. Not that big of a deal. If he does it, then it's not that big of a deal. That is Trump derangement syndrome.
Okay, the left has subverted Western civilization, and Trump.
Here we
is-
go. Here we
Trump is
go. Are you gonna
revitalizing-
hold on,
Trump
John,
is
Dean? He's
revitalizing-
about to ask you what you know about postmodernism. This is where we're going now. John is like John's like a doll with a pull string on his back. It's the same 8 lines over and over.
Postmodernism, the Frankfurt School, Hollywood MTV.
Yep. Here we go.
What's made the left crazy? And I know it's ironic.
Here we go.
Israel. All right. You all think race and gender are social constructs. You're insane.
Here we
You
go.
think anybody that is against a quasi-open border, all you do is call them a racist. You're fucking crazy. And you know what else, too? I was describing this earlier. There's about 25% of you crazy fuckers that think political violence is justified against the right if they don't fall in line with your fucking crazy narrative.
Well, I
That's
mean,
your problem.
It's funny because you just described yourself. Hey, like,
Actually,
I'll-
we've Go ahead.
Hey,
Sorry.
hey, wait,
I'll
wait,
just,
no, Dean,
I'll just say this really,
perfect.
I'll just say this really quick.
Ask Vic
It's,
how he feels about CK.
it's funny because what you
Ask
just,
Vic how he feels
one
about
moment,
CK.
one
Go
moment.
ahead.
Before I do, it's funny because you just described yourself. You said that the left is insane because 25% of them think that political violence is justified if you don't fall in line. Well, that's exactly what you said in response to Donald Trump calling for the execution of Democrats. You said those Democrats didn't
Not
fall
if
in
it's
line.
sedition.
You
Go
said
ahead,
that.
go
Well, it
ahead.
wasn't sedition. We already went over this. It's not seditious to tell the military that they don't have to follow unlawful orders. In fact, it's their constitutional obligation. Like, dude, the oath that members of our ranked forces took to uphold when joining the military says that if an order conflicts with the law, to follow the law. That is all that was echoed by those Democratic representatives. I will also say, if you are intermilitary and Trump gives you an unlawful order, do not follow it. Follow the law instead. Honor your oath. Okay,
100%.
Telling people to honor their oath is not seditious. But in fact, this is now you attempting to justify political violence. Donald Trump calling for the death of his political opponents because they're not falling in line with any unlawful order that he gives them. So when you're trying to project in this description of what you call 25% of the left, you in all reality are only describing yourself.
Yeah.
Man,
So
look, man.
if telling people that they shouldn't follow or they shouldn't follow unlawful orders is somehow seditious, then I guess I should have been thrown into Leavenworth I don't know how many times over the course of the 14 years that I was in the Army, because frankly that's just something that you are not only told that you don't have to do, but you are in fact like legally obligated to not follow unlawful orders. So there's nothing wrong at all with reminding people at all that they shouldn't follow those. And just to touch on what you said a moment ago, John, when you're talking about political violence, the problem is that transphobia, sexism, racism, homophobia, housing inequality, food inequality, all of these things are political violence.
Right.
John,
See,
they
that's
are
your
all.
problem.
John,
Physical
listen to me.
violence is violence.
John,
Not words,
listen
man.
to
This is why
John.
you're fucking nuts.
John,
Go ahead.
Pookie Bear,
Go ahead.
listen up.
Pookie Bear.
They are
What
all
is that,
forms
weirdo?
of political violence. The problem is that when those that are in seats of power are spoken back to in that same language, it becomes a problem. Anyway,
You just got banned for violent behaviors.
color me shocked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's I'm sorry that you had to deal with that.
I mean, he's just, one of the many. They're all crazy. Listen, man, it was a pleasure to meet you. I didn't know about you until like 20 minutes ago, but you seem like a real educated dude.
I typically like don't come over into like these. So I'm more like I hang out with like Erica and Santana and Brett and all of them. So I'm usually on their lives more often than not around this time. It's why I don't pop over here. But it's nice to finally be up on here.
Nice, bro. Well, hey, man, it was a pleasure to meet you, and I appreciate you for popping up.
Absolutely. Take care.
You as well. All right, everybody. We're actually over 4 hours at this point. I'm not going to lie. I'm very, very tired. So we're going to start gearing towards ending the stream. Before I do, I would like to thank a couple people. Alex, thank you for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat, bro, who says, hey, Dean, I was wondering what you think of the law that just got passed to reopen the government, the Continuing Appropriation and the Extension Act to 2026. By the way, love you, Dean, and hope that you and your girlfriend have an awesome night. So if that was something that passed in the last 4 hours, it's not something I know about. I'll have to take a look as well. But if you're talking about what they passed like 2 weeks ago to reopen the government, not a big fan because it didn't include an extension of ACA subsidies. Also, Sydney, thank you for the $20 over on PayPal, who told me to go watch the videos on that last guest page. It was just him throwing an air kick. What a loser. Thank you for the $20, Sydney. That is very, very kind of you. Let's get 200 Sydney W's down below in that chat. Let's also get 200 Lisa W's in that chat for the $20, 150 Ashley W's for the $15, who said, can you ask if he's Christian? Yeah, I actually did want to ask if he's Christian. I was going to make an argument out of that, but he's banned and gone now. Thomas, thank you for the $5. Cobblestone with 5. Area with 5. Hannah with the 15, who says, thank you for fighting the good fight. Thank you for being here, Erica. Thank you for the $15. And then Tyler with 5. Perfect, you guys. So Venmo has been down for like the last 2 or 3 hours. So we don't have anybody over there. But anyways, guys, we are going to go and end the stream for the night. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting a little bit delirious. It is time for me to end. I love you all so very, very much. And I